All right, guys, welcome in, welcome in. I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get right into this. I saw this debate on Piers Morgan the other day, and my mind was blown. It was between Lilly Gaddis and Marc Lamont Hill and Myron Gaines. You already know who Myron Gaines is. He's a very controversial YouTube figure who speaks his mind, is very outspoken about the Black community and holding them accountable and stuff like that. Things that we need to be doing, things that we need to be hearing. And he just was very well spoken on this debate. And Lilly Gaddis, I mean, literally came out of nowhere. And I think she went viral after this whole Piers Morgan clip. But she was literally talking about, a controversial topic that happened. And Piers Morgan said, well, are you a racist? And she just like, I got no problem saying that. Yeah, sorry, I don't care. I don't got no problem saying the N-word. It was just like, it was really cool to hear certain people like that, because I think this is what Myron and myself and all these people are saying right now, is that the things that are happening in the Black community are driving more and more people to become racist, unfortunately. Why? Because we've seen all the riots that happened at George Floyd. White people are sitting back in their communities. They're seeing Black people loot and steal and destroy buildings and destroy cop cars and all this other stuff. And nobody is saying anything. And when a white person decides to say, hey, you know what, Black man, I don't like that. Well, guess what? They're immediately called racist. They're put in this box. They're fired from their jobs and all this stuff. So this was a really good topic, a really good debate. And Piers Morgan is having an open, honest conversation with everybody and trying to get everybody's opinion. So before we really get into this, I just want to say that you're going to have your opinion. It's very controversial, but let's just get right into this.
Racism in the United States. It's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on our side.
Hang on. Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with anything you've just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the N-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. So I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said. She's just a racist. End, isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
it is about her
coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
That's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. Would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
Mm-hmm. I do, quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're...
Look at how shocked Piers Morgan is. And this is something that I just want to, just get it off my chest, okay? Black people in this country are making more and more white people racist. So I think Piers Morgan was literally shocked by her reaction, because I don't think he knew that she was going to say that. And I give her credit, even though I'm not really a fan, I give her credit for being honest. She was completely honest about, she uses the N-word, and that's her right. That is free speech. She can use the N-word as much as she wants. It is free speech, and that is why America is the greatest country in the world.
Despicable racist, are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
If you use the N-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word? When would it be appropriate?
When they're stealing, committing all the crimes, I guarantee that's what the first word white people are thinking about.
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist?
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks? Why are we talking about?
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist, and you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
So here's what. Even though I might not necessarily agree with her using the word, it is what it is. She has every right to say the word. And I think it's because, like she just said, systematically, what's happening is America is that you have black people, with DEI and all this stuff. So you're creating more racism in the country because white people who are qualified for jobs aren't getting these jobs anymore because jobs are now becoming so woke that they have to hire more women or more black people or more Hispanic people instead of the qualified white people. And that's literally why DEI is gone. And that's why Trump has been making it more of a level playing field instead of making it more racist against white people, qualified people that are going for jobs and going for positions and getting college degrees and are well educated and spending years in a certain field trying to get a promotion and getting passed up because this job now is going woke and needs black people. So this is what she's talking about: systemic racism towards white people.
Because I'm white and my
there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country? Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves: do we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it?
I don't disagree, Mark. Listen, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying technically black people brought up. No, technically Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can.
First of all, I hate when black people say this. They were not stolen, okay? Africans sold them. And they always make it seem like white people are the baddest one. No, they came over. Black people in Africa sold other black people. This is one of the biggest narratives that black people, especially Democrats, don't tell you. That's what happened. It's not like white people just came over and said, hey, I'm going to steal you. I'm going to steal you. No, Africans sold these people for a profit. That's what happens. So they need to get rid of this narrative that we were stolen from Africa. That's not true.
Justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. I mean, all these these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even animalizing a small black child. It's disgusting.
What is it?
Yeah, I never said that.
No, you may as well have done because you're just an unashamed.
That's the implication of your racist.
Let me bring in Myron Gaines because you've been smirking a lot.
Okay, so before Myron goes, Myron is going to destroy Marc Lamont Hill, the black guy. He is going to absolutely destroy him, and everything that Myron says in this clip is 100% accurate.
Laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No, she admitted she's a racist.
Well, let me
I'm not wagging a finger at anybody.
She's self-identified as a racist.
But Myron, with respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger when somebody says, yeah, I'm racist. I use the N-word against black people. I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh Hendricks and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized. And what I mean by this is for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal.
Myron is 100% right. And the reason why he's 100% right is because black people acted like George Floyd was Martin Luther King. He literally was on statues and murals and everything like that. The WNBA just had a George Floyd day. Do they not know? They want to bring up Donald Trump's patch. Do they not know that George Floyd was a career criminal, habitual drug user? Him and his friend broke into a pregnant woman's home, and George Floyd put a gun to that pregnant woman's belly. But that past, we're just going to forget about that past and just make him the new MLK Jr. That's who we're going to put. But when it comes to Donald Trump, oh, he's just the worst, and he's a racist, and he's sexual harassing all these women. It's crazy. When it comes to the black people, it is such a double standard.
A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white people killing, white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality or, oh, it's all so messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but
He's 100% right. Black people have been able to be racist for the longest time now, especially because Obama was in office, and they have never been held accountable. I mean, you see Jasmine Crockett over here saying that white supremacy is the greatest threat to our country. You see Ilhan Omar, who represents Minnesota, says that white people are the greatest threat to this country. You have Omar Fattah, another Somali representative, and actually he's running for the mayor of Minneapolis, said that white people are the greatest threat to this country. Minorities and black people, especially on the left, have been so racist and nobody says anything. So when you have Lilly Gaddis right now, just like, look, enough is enough. I'm sorry, I'm going to say my mind. You can't get mad at that, because for the longest time, Democrats, especially black people, have been able to be racist, and nobody says anything. So of course, white people have had enough, and rightfully so.
just to be clear, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the N-word at black people with impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no problem with that?
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment and freedom of speech overrides my personal feelings. She has the right to say
That's
it.
fine. You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are irrelevant. The Constitution is the Constitution. That's what matters.
Oh, that's fascinating. Hold on. So when it comes to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say, about their moral claims, about the racist system, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do. But when it comes to this woman saying the N-word, and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word, now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous. And it's as the only black American up here, that's quite frustrating to hear.
Here's the thing. If you want to be soft and get offended by that, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
Let me ask Ricky.
We're not even.
Let me ask Ricky.
This isn't about being soft any more than when you were desperately saving these white people.
Hold on. This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
And he's absolutely right. 100%. People can't say anything anymore because, like he just said, people are sensitive. They get their feelings hurt. So what happened is white people, because they know they can't say certain things because America, social media are going to condemn them, they can't say anything. So they're hiding in a shell right now. So Piers Morgan is having this debate, and Lilly Gaddis is doing something that a lot of white people are thinking, but not actually saying. And that's why, regardless if I like it, I have to give her so much credit, because she's just like, look, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm going to say the N-word when I feel like it. I'm going to say the N-word when I think it. Who cares? I don't care what people think about me. And sometimes you have to just get it out, because you're sick and tired of everything that's going to happen in America right now when it comes to the black community and them not being held accountable. So you're going to see this other clip right now, and Piers Morgan is actually going to challenge Lilly right now. He's actually going to really challenge her. And Mark, the black guy, is going to lose his mind.
You can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
go
not
on, then
have
say
free,
it. Say
you
the
will
N-
not have
Go on,
free
say
speech.
go on. Say the N-word. Go on.
No.
Hang on.
Don't invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only one here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So
look at this black guy losing his mind over a word. That word has no power over any black person unless you give it power. Who cares if she says it? It's not going to make you lose less money. Is it going to make you lose your job, your family, your kids? No, it's a word. Who cares about it? And he's losing his mind. This is why we can't have open, honest conversations about things. And when white people are actually trying to express how they feel, black people lose their mind and they just sit in the bubble and they say, okay, cool, the white person's not going to say anything anymore because they don't want reactions like this.
please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, you and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you.
Look at this guy. Look at him, just losing his mind over a word. You acting like she just is about to like kill your family or something. Like it's crazy how upset black people get with just a word. Again, that word is powerless unless you give it power. So even if she were to say, yeah, you know what, Mark, who cares? It does nothing for you. But this is the problem right now. Again, Marc Lamont Hill is showing that if you react in a certain way and you're emotional, you see Lilly's reaction, and now she's not going to say it anymore because of him losing his mind. And this is something that Myron was just talking about. White people are so tired of sitting in a bubble, not saying what they really feel right now, because again, black people have been able to control the narrative for such a long time. And what that narrative is if you are racist or whatever, you can't say anything that's going to offend me, because if you offend me, you're going to get fired from your job. I'm going to kick you off social media. You're going to lose these privileges. You're going to lose your family. All this stuff. I'm going to dox you. I'm going to find out where you live, who you are, where you're from, where your family background is, all this stuff. And that's what's happening. So now white people are just said, enough is enough. We're tired of the crime. We're tired of the black victim mentality. And I'm glad Myron pointed it out. So we're going to get to this next clip.
Sensitive. It's about, I didn't.
Liberalism and making sure that we are politically correct and don't use certain words could offend people is precisely why we're in the situation that we're in. For decades, we've had to literally tiptoe around saying certain things around certain people, while the other group of people has been able to have impunity and be able to be as racist as they want to be, as violent as they want to be, without any type of consequence. And if you call it out, you're labeled a racist. The reality is this. Black people don't want to live around black people. I don't want to live around a bunch of black people. I move to neighborhoods where it's majority white because I know I'm safe. Now, this is uncomfortable reality that no one wants to say, so I'll say it for them. Black people commit a lot of crimes. A majority of the violent crime committed in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not wanting to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh, etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time.
Is 100% accurate. Black people don't even want to live around black people. You know why? Because as soon as black people get money, where do they go? They move to the white neighborhoods. You know why they move to white neighborhoods? Because it's safe. They don't have to worry about being carjacked anymore. And this is what's happening now, is that white people are now starting to see their communities being infected with violent behavior, theft, Target, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, all this stuff. You see California, they had a law by Gavin Newsom, of course, said that if you steal $950 or less, you're not going to be prosecuted. Oh, it'd be a misdemeanor, a little slap on the wrist, but who cares? And of course, you see all these businesses in California and these blue states leaving because they can't afford all the laws that they're doing, because they've allowed black people in this country to express that they're victims and express reparations and express slavery and all this stuff. So now white people have white guilt and allow them to commit all these crimes. So now it's to the point right now where people are just fed up, and you're just gonna, you're making more and more white people, or people in general, racism, because they're not able to call out the black behavior.
Because of what I said before, systemic, organized, where they don't take accountability for their decisions.
Let me bring in Ricky to respond. Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that I agree that virtue signaling went too far, that political correctness went too far. But we're going from virtue signaling being the norm and being praised to now vice signaling being the norm and being praised. It's not just a matter of does this woman have the right to use that word? I believe that she has the right. I disagree with it. But is she now being rewarded with $500,000? Why are we rewarding people for performing vice instead of virtue? This is not healthy. This is destructive to our society. This is destructive to our social fabric.
And see, here's a problem with what she's saying right now. Of course, she's a Democratic leftist. Now, she's upset that with this Shiloh story, this woman, if you know the background of it, was at a park and this little black kid stole something from her daughter, and then the mom went off and just called the little black kid an N-word or whatever like that. So that's what they're talking about. And of course, black people found her, doxed her, she lost her job and all this stuff because she was saying these racist words. And then people actually donated to her. It's like, hey, look, here's some money. And she raised like $500,000. It was crazy. But if she's upset, it's like, hey, how can you reward bad behavior? But Carmelo Anthony, who in Texas, killed Austin Metcalf, the black guy who killed Austin Metcalf, black people donated to him, Carmelo Anthony's fund, and he raised like $750,000. So why don't you talk about that? You're mad that white people, or you're mad that people in general gave to Shiloh for being racist. How dare they? But black people gave to Carmelo Anthony hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars when he killed that poor kid, Austin Metcalf, and you have nothing to say about that.
To our culture, to our ability to live with other fellow Americans, it's gross to reward someone for bad behavior. It's one thing to tolerate it, to say that she has the right to do it, but she called an autistic 5-year-old the N-word. I'm sorry, but I feel like we're kind of missing the point in the actual context. You can say that it's part of this bigger meta story of black and white America, but it actually is just a short little clip, and you don't even know the context of it, and it's actually gross. And if we can't just say that it's gross and bad, then I don't really know where we are.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that Lilly Gaddis, you retweeted Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist, by saying he said black people just raised $500,000 for a cold-blooded killer who stabbed a white teenager to death. So I don't want to hear one word about the Shiloh Hendricks fundraiser. Either everyone gets to be tribal or nobody does.
I think he's 100% right. And this is the point. And this is something that you just saw. She didn't call out Carmelo Anthony. She didn't call out black people giving to Carmelo Anthony a murderer. She called out white people giving to a racist because she used some derogatory words about black people. She hates that, but the murderer, the black kid who murdered Austin Metcalf in Texas, no issue. No problem over there. We can't reward bad behavior. So you're upset about the races, but you're fine with someone murdering somebody just because he's black. And this is the problem that we have. We as Americans are tired of making excuses for everybody. Now, should she have called that black kid N-word? No, but it is what it is. It's America. It's free speech. You're right to say whatever you want. That doesn't mean you're not going to have any consequences. But again, this is something that black people, especially the Democrats, have made sure that if you say something against COVID, if you say something about politicians that we don't like, we're going to take away your social media. We're going to ban you from platforms. We're going to make sure that you are quiet. And now that Trump is in office, it's one of the things where we're able to now say what we want to say, because white people for so long have been put in this little shell. Under Obama, under Biden, you can't say what you feel. You can't say that, because if it offends black people, if it offends Hispanics, guess what? You are now a racist. Even if it's like, hey, look, I don't want illegal immigrants to come to this country. I don't know who they are. They're not vetted. I want to make sure that they're actually assimilating to American culture and not just bringing, whatever cartel or Sharia law. They're coming from all these other different countries. I want to make sure they assimilate to American culture. But if you say that, you are now a racist and you are banned from all platforms. So this is something that, we can't stand right now. And we're actually kind of glad, we had this open debate, and Piers Morgan actually saw Myron Gaines talking about, listen, white people have been tired and sick and tired of not being able to communicate how they feel. And that's a big problem in this country. So I'm very glad that, Lilly, again, whether I agree with her or not, Lilly was able to say, yeah, I'm sorry, this is how I feel. If I want to call a black person the N-word, regardless of how I feel, I'm going to do it, because I'm sick of seeing, black people doing all this other stuff, be racist towards white people, call white people crap, and nobody says anything. But as soon as a white person says something towards a black person, her life is ruined, they're fired, their kids are gone, they're divorced, like all this other bad stuff is happening to them. So it was actually a really, really, really good debate. And of course, Marc Lamont Hill, he doesn't see the big picture. He doesn't see what Myron is trying to say. He just tried to flip it and say black people were slaves and they were stolen. Of course, using that same victim mentality card. And we built America, which we all know slaves didn't build America. And then they always attribute slaves to black people. And even though every single racial group ever to exist was a slave at one point, Arabs, Spaniards, Europeans are all slaves. And then not to mention, black people actually own slaves in America. But we know this by the 1830 census. There was about 3,775 black people that owned about 12,000 slaves. They never bring that up. Democrats will never tell you anything like that. So it's just something that's a double standard. White people are bad, but when black people do the same exact thing, guess what? It's okay. So I don't know. It's one thing we really got to focus on. And, I'm glad they had this open debate. And it was really interesting. You get some insight to kind of see what Lilly Gaddis and some of the people in her community are actually thinking and how they're feeling. Because, again, I feel like black people are making more and more people racist, because once you start having DEI, once you start having this 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, start preparing for their future, and they graduate college and they go for a job and they get told no because we have to hire this black kid, it's going to force him to feel some type of way. And that's why DEI should never exist. You should have an equal playing field. And if it's 10 people going for a job and you have 6 black or 4 white or 6 white and 4 black, then those people that are going for the job are the best. And you don't have to worry that, hey, you know what, is my pilot just hired just because he's black, or is he actually qualified? And that's what you're going to be thinking in all these positions if DEI is here. So that's why Trump is getting away with it, and these companies are going back to normal. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if it gets better and how America is going to be. But I for one have been sitting on the sidelines and seeing some of the people in the black community, especially MSNBC, Joy Reid and Don Lemon, be very racist towards white people and say whatever. And CNN and MSNBC, they finally had enough. I'm actually surprised, because CNN got rid of Don and MSNBC got rid of Joy Reid. But for years they had these platforms and they were able to say whatever they want about white people. And I mean, Joy Reid, when Gabby Petito was missing, Joy Reid literally was on MSNBC and said the only reason why people care is because people have missing white girl syndrome. Missing white girl syndrome. She was able to say this on her platform. Did anything happen? No. Why? Because black people are always a victim. So Myron Gaines, call him controversial, but he said exactly how he felt, and I 100% agree with everything. We got to have more open and honest debates and have discussions about stuff like this and what makes people uncomfortable and why white people haven't been able to say what they want to say. And now that they're starting to feel more comfortable, we have to have some of these debates, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, black people, again, 30% of the population, committing over 50% of the crime in America, all the theft. You see all these businesses, closing up their doors and going to red states because they can't afford all the loss that's happening around the country. It's a problem. And if we don't have these debates and conversations, it's never going to change. And if you allow someone like, Gavin Newsom to become president, imagine if he's in this state said $950 or less, and you're not going to get prosecuted, it's a misdemeanor. Imagine if he becomes the president in 2028, and that's all around the country. It's going to be a nightmare. So we have to start holding people accountable, and we have to make sure that there's no more double standards, and white people can say what they want and say how they feel without being persecuted. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out of here.